Welcome to the Coach Within. I'm your host, Coach Jedi, a podcast where transformation begins from the inside out. Here, we explore coaching conversations that unlock clarity, spark insight, and bring you closer to your purpose. Whether you're a coach, a leader, or someone on the journey of personal growth, you're in the right place. Each episode brings real stories, practical tools, and thought-provoking reflections to help you thrive in life, leadership, relationships, and dreams. Let's journey inward, ignite the coach within, and brave your story. One of the greatest challenges that we face in the coaching process, it's how do we set up the call? How do we initiate the very first call? And that's where sometimes we hear these words, discovery call, chemistry calls, or opportunity calls. And we call this process the initiation process for every coaching conversation. Now, you can think of coaching very much like coming to agreement with a new client or a new person that you've never met before. And therefore, it's really important that their first encounter with you leaves a lasting impression. So today's podcast, I'm going to just focus on how to create powerful chemistry coaching calls. Now, this word chemistry, it gives us the idea of how do we build that relationship that is really intimate, really connected, and it makes the other party feels that, wow, I can trust this coach, I can trust this person, I can trust this individual to help me with the challenge I'm facing. Now, you would hear different terms that we call the initial call or the initial setup of this discovery call, such as chemistry call, initiation call, opening call, chemistry calls. And this is what we call the formative conversation setup. In the coaching process, I often say that there's the formative part and there's the sessional part. The formative part happens right before any coaching session begins. So you can think of it very much like, how do we meet? Where do we meet? Do we meet in person? Do we go online to have a call? Do we do over WhatsApp? Do we do over Zoom? Do we do over Teams, Google Meets? Do we do over Discord, Twitch? How are we having our calls? The administrative process. Also, thinking about the logistical aspects of it, the time, the language, the medium, the tools. So everything here, it's what we call the formative aspect of coaching. The formative aspect happens way before our very first coaching session with the client. And how well you set up this formative agreement will determine how well your entire coaching conversation will go. And that's why I love to focus on this part of how to create powerful chemistry coaching calls. Now, you can think of it really much like framing the session. Whenever I say powerful chemistry calls, I'm talking about how do we frame the expectation of the client so that when they engage you or when they pay the money or when they have paid for your services for 3 sessions, 6 sessions, 12 sessions in a year or a continuous engagement, that they don't feel that there's a mismatch of expectations or they feel that there's a lot of misunderstandings, and that can happen. In fact, there was one time I had a coach who came to me and said, Jedi, you know what? My clients want to kind of drop off from my coaching engagement. They feel they're not getting the mentoring value that they want. When I hear that, immediately I knew that there is a mismatch of understanding between what coaching is and what the client is really looking for. And as coaches, we got to be honest. We got to be forthcoming. We got to ensure that the client understands the boundaries or what we can offer and what we can't offer. Too often, I heard a lot of online advertisements and claiming really exaggerated claims like, oh, sign up for my coaching today and become very successful. Sign up for my coaching and experience breakthroughs. Sign up for my coaching and you will experience career acceleration like none other. Or sign up for my coaching and you have financial breakthroughs. So whenever I hear such large claims or beyond belief claims, sometimes it sounds logical, but sometimes I find that a lot of times this becomes an overpromise and underdeliver because of the mismatch of expectations. So it's really important that we first understand that every first contact with any client, regardless whether they are known to you or brand new clients, it's all about framing what the coaching session will look like for them. Have them share with you what it is that they're looking for. Have them share with you what are their expectations, what are their hopes, what are their aspirations, what do they aim to gain from the session, what are their dislikes, what are their likes, how do they like to be engaged, what kind of words inspires them, what kind of visuals, what kind of sound, how often do they want to have that sessions. Now, sometimes as coaches, we may feel that, oh, we want to have sessions on a very regular basis. We want to have like 10 sessions a month, 20 sessions a month. But it's really important for us to recognize that in the spirit of co creation, we have to understand what are the needs of the client. It's not just about what we want or what we can do, it's also about, is this serving the best for our clients? And maybe perhaps what they need might not be coaching. Maybe what they need might be some consulting, it might be some counseling, psychology, training, or something else. And we have to be bold enough, courageous enough to say, hey, client, I would love to help you, but this is beyond the scope of coaching, and I'd like to refer you to someone else who can better support you in this area. Now, sometimes the client may have engaged your services as a coach, and the coaching goes well. But midway through, or halfway through the entire engagement, there's a shift. The client requires additional support. The client requires some additional help that maybe perhaps has not yet emerged at the initial stages of the conversations. And at that point of time, as a coach, we have to engage our clients again and invite them to consider how best you can support them in their journey. And perhaps at the point of time, for them to consider even engaging additional or external support to support them in their needs. So that's why it's important at the very start of this chemistry call, it's what we call framing, because it helps you as a coach understand the coachability and compatibility factors in the relationship before things get formalized. At the very initial stages, once we understand what are the coachability factor and compatibility factors, it gives us a clue, an indication whether the coaching engagement over a period of time will be successful. And that's why I often tell coaches, I say, hey, in the coaching process, don't be in a rush. Take time, get to know the client, allow the client to get to know you, allow each other to feel comfortable with the way you engage, the way you have a conversation, the way you show up in that session. And I often say this as coaches, always enter the conversation with no pretense. Because sometimes as a coach, we tend to bring a side of us that is that perfect side and almost a unfallible side, and there is almost no imperfection. We sound so poised, we sound so precise, we sound almost like the perfect version of a human being. And only when the client engage you, the client begin to realize the cracks in our conversations, the vulnerability that we have, and then they realize it's just another human being that's in front of me. And that's why I often say that coaching, it's not one above the other. It's not one beneath the other. Coaching, it's two people walking alongside, partnership, partnering each other through a creative and thought-provoking process to inspire change and maximize potential. And that's why these two keys are so critical. One is what I call coachability, and the other is compatibility. Now, what's the difference? Coachability, it's whether the client is ready, is willing. Do we have a willing partner? Because sometimes clients say, I want this, I want to get this goal, I want to get this result, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they're not ready to commit. They're not ready to hold themselves accountable to the results that they want. Or perhaps they're not in that season yet to say that, yes, now it's the time. I'm not going to wait any moment. I want it now. So coachability, it's the willingness from the client, the willingness to take a chance, the willingness to step up, the willingness to say, hey, you know what? I've tried this so far. I've tried this time and time again, but now I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to put everything aside. I'm just going to trust fully in the coaching process and trust that the outcome that I desire will be there. And that's the beauty of coaching. The beauty of coaching is not about trying to do more. The beauty of coaching is all about showing up. When we show up in a conversation, something beautiful happens. So, first part, coachability. Is the client willing? Is the client wanting? Does the client feel that they are ready? So I always say, are they poised? Are they ready to take a chance? Not take a chance in coaching, but take a chance in themselves. So I often say to my clients, I say, hey, clients, thank you so much for reaching out to me. My name is Jedi. I'm here as your coach if you want to engage me fully. But before we begin this journey, I want to hear from you whether you're ready to embark on this journey. It's not going to be easy because there will be times I may challenge you. There will be times where there will be situations, there will be actions that you are taking, there will be mountains that you've not yet faced. But in those times, will you give yourself the chance to step up, even when things don't go the way it should? So, whenever I hear the voice of hope, whenever I hear the voice of courage in the face of fear, whenever I hear the voice of willingness to say, hey, you know what, it doesn't matter, let's try it, let's go for it, I'm committed to it. I know that that will be a successful coaching engagement. Because you see, coaching is not about me as the coach forcing the results on the client. Because coaching, in its heart, in its essence, it's partnership. Partnership in a co creative manner that will inspire change. I'm not trying to force change. Because if I force change, it's temporary. It's not going to be sustainable. We want change that is sustaining. It's easy to change when there is a carrot and stick, right? I can force change. But for it to be sustaining, for it to have sustainable effect, I want to be able to help the client see beyond what's in front of them, to go beyond the possibilities. And that's why coachability becomes one of the most important factors. The second factor is compatibility. Compatibility is in the style and the nuance that I carry and the client. Are our language styles, are our rhythms similar or dissimilar? Are our energy levels compatible? Now, sometimes some clients may prefer a higher energy coach, a more robust, more dynamic coach, more dynamic sounding coach, and that's fine and that's okay. Now, sometimes some clients may prefer a more quieter coach, a more reflective coach, a more introspective coach, maybe the choice of language, maybe more precise, maybe more elegant. Or sometimes the client may feel that, hey, I'd like to find someone around my age, or find someone around my experience level, or find someone totally different from me to really challenge me. So, this compatibility, it's the coming of minds, which means that giving the chance for the coach and the client to see, do I like the style? Do I like the communication process? Do I like and engage? And do I want to give myself this chance to take a step in? Now remember, it's two individuals coming together in a sacred space to explore the potentiality within. So compatibility is just as important because if the client is willing, but maybe the style of communication, the language, the energy level are totally different, or the worldviews, or the personality, or the values or the beliefs are in conflict, the compatibility will affect the outcome of the coaching relationship. And that's the reason why we are setting up this initial chemistry session. The initial chemistry session is to allow both parties, the coach and the client, to say, hey, I like this communication style. I feel ready. I feel engaged. I feel hopeful. I want to take this forward. At the same time, for the client to experience the coach, do I enjoy this conversation? Did I enjoy the last 10 minutes with the coach? Do I see myself enjoying every moment of the conversation? So, therefore, this initial session, discovery call, chemistry call, it's so critical because it allows us to taste and see what it might look like. So, two factors, coachability and compatibility, will be essential to ensuring a healthy relationship throughout the entire coaching process. Now, the key to successful coaching engagement begins first with this call or this initial call. Now, sometimes some coaches may have a charge. They may request or require the client to make a small initial fee for the first discovery call, or sometimes some coaches may charge the very first call to gain the client's commitment for the very first call. And sometimes some coaches may offset this call if they purchase a package of coaching sessions. Now, other times, some coaches may say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this first initial session a pro bono session for you to experience me. If you like what you get, you can continue and sign up for my full package. So, regardless of how coaches design their chemistry calls, it's important to honor and respect the choice of the client. And that's why we often say framing happens in this initial session to set the right expectations, to allow the client to clarify, and also allow the coach to clarify the intended outcome and desires of the coaching process. Shape, set, visualize, and vision what the goalposts are. Allow the client to share with you their intended desires from the session. What do they hope to gain? What do they want out of the session? How? Where? When? And so this part allows them to have a taster. Usually, I would say a chemistry call should be at least 15 minutes to 30 minutes. At the very least, have a 30-minute call with the client because you want to have enough time and don't feel too rushed to build a sense of rapport and connection with the client and the coach to see whether we're the right fit. If the entire conversation is in a rush, right, we only have 10 minutes, let's pick up the call, let's go for it, it's really going to be very difficult to kind of assess whether it's going to be the right fit. So, a good way is to design strategically how your call will sound like and feel like. You may also require the client to maybe email you or inform you before time. What are some of their ideas behind it? So you get a sense of what kind of expectations the client may have before entering the call. And allow the client to also read up a little bit about coaching. It could be from your website, it could be from your database. Allow the client to have a feel of who you are as a coach so that when they come into the session, they are able to then solidify some of the questions that they may have. So, one of the things I like to do is I offer a lot of my podcasts, my videos, my articles, everything that's online to allow the client to get to know me. They get to hear my voice, they get to hear my thought process. Now, even if they've never met me before, this gives them an opportunity to interact with me asynchronously. And at that point of time, they can make a conscious call to say, hey, I would like to have a discovery call of Jedi because I'm facing this challenge and I would love for him to be my life coach, my leadership coach, to support me through this career change or support me through this life journey. And oftentimes when I see clients doing that, the success of the coaching session increases. Because I always tell my clients, I want you to go all out in the coaching process. And I'm also going to go all out in every single call that we engage in. So my fees are not just a fee for that hour. My fees are the fees for every moment leading up to that hour. Because I will need to prepare myself. I will need to grow. I'll need to learn. I'll need to develop. I need to reflect. I need to build up this space for me so that I can help you in that moment. And so you see, oftentimes many clients think that they're only paying for that hour. No, they're not. They're actually investing in the coach because the coach requires time to deepen their mastery, to deepen their skill sets. So it's important that your fees are not just an hourly rate. And I often tell clients, my fees are not an hourly rate. You sign up for a package, and oftentimes I'll allow the client to go forever. which means that we have a continuous engagement process. It's not fixed like to 3 months, it's not fixed to 6 months, it's an ongoing process with a minimum commitment of 12 months. Now, why do I want to commit my clients to at least a 12-month period? Because transformation happens slowly and surely. Oftentimes, when we kind of experience those aha, those eureka, those moments of seemingly transformative moments, we thought that those are transformation. But actually, transformation is a process. It may not always happen instantaneously, but it will surely happen. Layer by layer, growth by growth. We begin to see ourselves growing, strength to strength, without realizing that as well. So as you engage a prospective client in your chemistry call, remember, coaching is not a concept to be taught, but a journey to be experienced. And I often say this, right? Coaching is an experience to be experienced. And it's important to allow your client to experience you fully. And one of the things I enjoy doing whenever the client has enough investment is to tell the client, hey, client, I would love to take you on a journey. Let's go for a trip together. Let's go and visit a brand new location. Let's go to this place. In fact, I had one time had a group of clients going to different islands, going to places like Slovenia, to the mountains, to Japan, to Taiwan, to Singapore, to Malaysia, to parts of the US, in Tucson, Arizona, to experience different facets of life. And that opened their eyes and hearts and awareness, because when that happens, the client is not just listening to the concept of coaching, but they're experiencing the experience of coaching. And that's why I say one of the most important thing is to let the client feel what a powerful chemistry call would feel like, because they are going to invest their heart, they're going to invest themselves in the commitment, into that process, and we want to shape the entire process to something that they can truly enjoy. And one of the best things to think about as we are thinking about framing the session with the client is this: create an experience that is unparalleled. It's not about just serving the client to an okay level. Serve the client to the level that you want to be served as well. Demand excellence, because when we demand excellence of ourselves, we're able to provide that value far beyond what the expectations of the client will be. And therefore, your chemistry call or your discovery call will impact how you show up and how successful the rest of your coaching engagement will be. So remember this. Focus on that call, frame the session, and create a compelling experience for your client today. Thank you for tuning in to The Coach Within. If today's episode sparked something in you, take a moment to reflect, journal, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. Want to experience coaching or explore our upcoming programs? Head to jedi.coach or check out our show notes to connect. If this podcast helped you to grow, please follow, share, and leave a review. It helps more people to find us. And until next time, keep listening, keep reflecting, and keep braving your story from within.